Of the Lord.
There's a true story about an ex-convict that was asked to come speak at an assembly of high school students. That is, after he just spent 4 years in prison. And of course, the purpose of the talk was to discourage the students from making the same choices that he made and going down the wrong path and winding up, of course, in the same place that he did. And as he began the talk, he talked about all the things that were somewhat expected. That is, the violence in prison, the lack of freedom, that is, loneliness, boredom, all the usual things that you would expect an ex-convict to talk about. But then he brought up something very interesting and very unexpected. That is, he said what he missed most over those 4 years in prison were the presence of children. That is, he said to go 4 years without seeing a child, hearing a child laugh, or seeing a child's toy, that is, really took its toll on him. And he said that was the hardest thing of all. I thought about that, and I thought to myself, you know what I miss most today in regard to our church? The presence of children. Where are children in our church in this day and age? Not just here, but every church. God bless those parents and God bless those families that do bring their children to church. But the truth is, we are lacking children in our churches. Why is that? I mean, they are the future of our faith, the future of our church. That is, without them, then we can only imagine what the future of our faith and church will be. It's only faith-filled children that then grow into faith-filled adults. And so we need the presence of children. And if you really think about it, children inspire us in so many other countless ways also. That is, they have a tendency to help us put things in the right perspective, make sure our priorities are right and intact. And they also inspire us to really focus on the more important things and the things we tend to forget. Children have a good and positive impact on us all. Can you imagine trying to impress a child with the same ways that adults tend to try and impress each other in our world today? That is, children don't care about what grades that we got, what school we went to, or whether we finished in the top 10% of our class. Children don't care about what professional titles or positions or jobs that we had. Children don't care about what kind of car that we drive, where we live. It is, or how much we have in the bank. That is, all that matters to children are really what is most important of all. That is, and that comes down to how much of a God-like person we are. They only care about if we are warm, loving, gentle, patient, and make time and room for them in our lives. Children help us to focus on what is most important. Today in our gospel, we hear a story in regard to the opposite end of the spectrum. That is, the opposite. That is, we don't have children, but we have grown men, we have adults, we have the apostles arguing over who is the greatest. And it's probable that our Lord kind of heard this argument taking place on the way to Capernaum, but he didn't really say anything yet. But the discussion must have gotten so heated that by the time they got to Capernaum, the apostles weren't even talking to each other. And that is when our Lord then asked them, when they got to Capernaum, he said, "What were you talking about on the way there?" Which he probably knew, of course, what it was. And they didn't answer. They didn't answer because such was their shame and embarrassment that they were arguing over that, for they knew the teachings of our Lord at that time. They knew that they were taught that those who humble themselves will be exalted. They knew that the last will be first and the first will be last. That is, they knew that whoever tries to save their lives will lose them, but those who lose their lives for my sake will find them. They knew that our Lord taught that the greatest among you is the one who serves others. And so after their silence, that is why our Lord then took a child, put it in front of them, and said, "This is what you have to be like. That is, forget your ego, forget your status, but be like this child." There's a story about a man who died and came before the gates of heaven, and the gates of heaven opened, and he was let in. And as he's looking around, there's our Lord, and he goes up to him, and he starts looking around at the other people there. And he's a bit surprised. And he says to our Lord, he says, "Lord, I'm kind of surprised to see some of these people here. These are some people here I didn't expect that would be here." And then he also asked him, "Why are they so quiet?" And our Lord answered, "Well, they didn't think that you would be here." What our Lord is trying to tell us today, what it really comes down to is not that we think less of ourselves, but think of ourselves less. It is not that we think less of ourselves, but think of ourselves less. That is, true greatness only matters in the eyes of God and the people that love us and that need us. True greatness just comes down to how many lives that we touch, the joy that we give to others' hearts, and how we make real our faith in our Lord for others. True greatness just means putting others before ourselves, putting others first, to love, to give, and to serve without expecting anything in return. The irony and the truth is that the less we seek out greatness, then the greater we actually are.